I'm going to call the meeting to order, please. A pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Commissioner Ganger?
Here.
Commissioner Stanley?
Here.
Commissioner White? Here. Commissioner Morgan?
Here.
Mayor Orthwein? Here. Let the record show that the attorney, Mr. Randolph, is present, as is the town manager, Mr. Treasurer. The regular meeting and public hearing of March 14th. Do I hear a motion to correct or approve the minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Ganger?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Orthwein? Yes. The certification of election of March 14th. Do I hear a motion to approve that?
Make a motion to approve the certification of election for 3/14/14. Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Ganger?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Orthwein? Yes. Special meeting of March 28th, 14th. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve those minutes. Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Ganger?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Orthwein? Yes. The additions, withdrawal, deferral of agenda items. Rita?
I would like to add as item 6C, proclamation on civility as requested by the bar. And as item 9C1, resolution 14-3 on reappropriations.
I'm sorry, that's mine.
Sorry, Rita, where are we?
Where was that? I'm sorry. Oh,
C1.
okay, it's
Oh, got it.
May I make a comment in regard to that? This is an item that requires some appropriation funds. The information that we needed to prepare this came in after the delivery of your agendas, and we do have copies of that for the public if there is any interest in that. Thank you.
okay.
Madam Mayor, under the agenda, could you add a item G under 9, attorney items?
Yes. Did we bring up under 6B maybe, disability, decorum policy?
You mean for the town attorney?
No, Rita
No,
already.
Rita.
Rita put that on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Oh, okay.
Rita did.
So you're just approving the agenda at this point.
Rita, I had asked, and I may be dead wrong, was that correct address for item 9D?
9D.
9D, yeah, there's a police lien. I could be dead wrong, I just thought the address seemed like for 6,000.
Oh, yours, the commission's was the one that was wrong, I changed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would, everybody else's
All right.
is all right. It
Okay.
should be 2765 on the address. Thank you for pointing that out before we got them all distributed.
Shows I read these things.
That's right. Good start.
Okay. The announcements, the regular meeting and public hearing dates are here. Everyone acknowledges when they are, and we're going to have a forum. B, the mayor's proclamation, water reuse week.
Yep. All kinds of stuff here. This This is the mayor's proclamation proclaiming May 18th through the 24th, 2014 as Water Reuse Week. This is asked of us to pass every year by the water management, and it's encouraging water reuse to come, and the mayor has proclaimed that. If you want me to read it entirely, I will, but it's what we have every year.
Is everyone okay with not reading it?
Fine with that.
Okay. Number 6, C, the proclamation of Civility Month. We should read that.
This was requested of us by the bar, and it reads, Town of Gulfstream proclaiming May 2014 as Civility Month, whereas the open exchange of public disclosure is essential to the democratic system of government, and whereas, as a cornerstone of democracy, Americans have observed certain rules of behavior, generally known as civility, whereas civility derived from the Latin words civitas, meaning city, and civis, meaning citizen, is behavior worthy of citizens living in a community or in common with others, and whereas displays of anger, rudeness, ridicule, impatience, and lack of respect and personal attacks detract from the open exchange of ideas, prevent fair discussion of the issues, and can discourage individuals from participation in government, whereas civility can assist in reaching consensus on diverse issues and allow for mutually respectful, ongoing relationships, and whereas civility can uplift our daily life and make it more pleasant to live in an organized society, and whereas the town, county, and local government law section of the Florida Bar urges the adoption of a pledge of civility by all citizens in the state of Florida, now therefore be it resolved by the mayor of the town of Gulfstream that the month of May is proclaimed Civility Month and calls upon all citizens to exercise civility towards each other.
To the, to our distinguished residents here, this proclamation is read in, as far as I know, most, if not all, the cities in South Florida, or in Palm Beach County for sure. And you'd be surprised how shortly after the reading, there is a change in some cases, and it's referred to by the dais from time to time in reminding people that this proclamation has been read, and there's an expectation that we'll all live up to it. You know, we listen to these things and they sound like they're just rote, but those words are important and powerful, and I think it's something we all need to take into account.
Thank you. Number 6D, the Decorum. Rita, will you read that?
I will. Town of Gulfstream Decorum Policies. The mayor or presiding officer of the meeting of the town commission or its appointed boards and committees shall be responsible for the preservation of strict order and decorum at all meetings. In conducting the public's business, the town commission is committed to principles of civility, honor, and dignity. Individuals appearing before the town commission are expected to observe these same principles when making comments on items and issues presented to the town commission or any of its appointed boards or committees. Town staff members and those individuals who address the commission or its appointed boards or committees shall use proper language when addressing the commission or its appointed boards or committees. Language which includes profanity or cursing, or which is presented in an aggressive or threatening manner toward the town commission members or its staff or its consultants, the public or other individuals participating in a public meeting is prohibited and is disruptive to the decorum of the meeting. All comments shall be directed to the mayor or presiding officer of the meeting and not to individual members of the town commission, town staff, or consultants, or to members of the public in the audience. Those addressing the commission or its appointed boards or committees shall avoid personal verbal attacks toward members of the town commission, members of its appointed boards or committees, town staff or consultants, or members of the public in order to preserve decorum during the conduct of public meetings. The mayor or presiding officer may remove individuals from the town commission chambers if such conduct persists after the mayor or presiding officer has provided the offending individual with a warning that the individual is in violation of this policy. Members of the commission shall accord the utmost courtesy to each other, the town employees, consultants, professionals presenting applications or other matters, and the public appearing before the commission. Members of the commission shall refrain at all times from rude and derogatory remarks, reflections as to an individual's integrity, abusive comments and statements as to motives and personalities. During meetings of the commission or its appointed boards or committees, all cell phones shall be turned off or silenced. The use of all cameras and or recording equipment, other than that being used by the town, is restricted to the rear of the town commission chambers in the last 5 feet in the rear of the room. In addition to the decorum provisions set forth above, all individuals in the town commission chambers are advised that section 871.01 of the Florida statutes declares that any person who willfully interrupts or disturbs any assembly of people meeting for any lawful purpose shall be guilty of a misdemeanor of the 2nd degree and may be arrested by police officers present. This may be done in the absence of the conduct being noted or of the offender being called to order by the mayor or presiding officer. In the case that any person is declared out of order by the presiding officer and ordered expelled and does not immediately leave the commission chambers, the following steps shall be taken. A. The mayor or presiding officer shall declare a recess. B. The person shall be advised by a police officer that he or she has been determined to be out of order and shall be asked to immediately leave the chambers. C. In the event a person who has been ruled out of order by the mayor or presiding officer does not remove himself or herself from the chambers, he or she may be placed under arrest for the violation of section 871.01 of the Florida statutes. D. In the event any person who is ordered expelled leaves the commission chambers voluntarily and then returns to the same meeting, he is subject to arrest for violation of section 871.01 of the Florida statutes. The town manager may require that a uniformed certified law enforcement officer be present at such meetings of the town commission or as appointed boards or committees as the sergeant of arms for said meeting.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to make this policy applicable for all meetings at the town hall, the ARPB, and ad hoc day, or anybody that is having a meeting in the town chambers, and not exclusive of the town commission. And this would be in effect for this meeting and future meetings. How do you all feel about that?
Is this a second reading?
Yes.
This is, it has expanded the original one we read to
Okay.
include the committees and the boards.
Okay. Is that, that still, the first reading stands as approved? The
Right.
first reading.
This is not a first or second reading of an ordinance, this is a declaration of policy.
I understand that, but this is the
Got it.
second time it's been read, and I just, well, we did approve the first,
Yes.
This is a little clarified.
and this is a little clarified.
Okay, that's all.
I-
Right.
Right,
It's
and
an
I
updated version.
support it.
Yeah,
Okay.
wholeheartedly agree. Should apply to any meeting relative to conducting a public business for the town of Gulfstream.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
This is an established policy of the
Correct.
town of Gulfstream.
Correct.
Commissioner Ganger,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor Orthwein.
Yes. Thank you. The communication from the public, 5 minutes.
Chris O'Hare. Madam Chairman, that's very interesting. I got to ask a question. This is not an ordinance, this is just a policy. Is that correct?
I was going to skip the policy.
Isn't it clearly not an ordinance, but
It's a
I think
public-
this is time for you to hear comments from the public.
Okay, well, the reason I ask is because I know an ordinance needs to be read 2 times, like Mr. Ganger proposed. It also needs to be published 10 days in advance, so anybody in the public has an opportunity to come here if they have a problem with it. But the first reading was not published, so I guess it's not an ordinance. Just wanted to clear that up, because it does have the rule of law. You're setting additional parameters on people beyond the scope of the state statute, and you're telling people if they violate it, they'll be arrested. It sounds like an ordinance to me, but I'll leave it to you. We all pledged allegiance to the flag, some of us in our voices, some of us in our hearts. You say that the cornerstone of democracy is civility. I disagree. It's the rule of law. When you pass an ordinance, that's a law. People have to have an opportunity, if they object or they disagree with its enforcement, to defend themselves. That's why the Supreme Court, I believe, says you can't have a vague law. How do you defend against a vague law? The ad hoc committee is making new rules. Unfortunately, they're just as vague as the old rules. The latest one they're considering is 25% rule for landscaping. If you want to plant, if you change 25% of your landscaping, you must have a permit under penalty of law. What's 25% mean? If Mr. Thrasher sends me a letter saying I violated that because I did 25%, is it 25% of the number of plants, the square feet of the landscape garden, the biomass? How do I defend it if I say, no, I've only done 24%? I can't, because it's vague. The code is filled with vague laws. I thought the ad hoc committee was going to get rid of all that. Instead, Mr. Randolph says, oh, we should have a waiver. If we think it should be approved, but it's not in our code, let's waive it. How big could that be? It's just unbelievable. I know there's been a lot of questions about legal fees, and you're about to vote to get more. It's not enough. The vague laws in the code need addressing. The aggressive attitude that Mr. Scott wants to take against court actions needs to be aggressive towards the code. Clean up the code, the court actions go away. Follow the rule of law, there's no longer a complaint. If I ask for a public record, I should get it. The state says I'm entitled to that. It's just like, it's so frustrating. And yet, you sit there and you won't comment. Mr. Scott says half the town, or most of the town, wants to aggressively defend these complaints. Who did you talk to at Plaza Soleil? We had a meet the candidates meeting. Nobody showed up except Mr. O'Boyle. All my neighbors say, where are these people? I got questions. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Okay,
Yeah?
of course.
I come here to speak about the Decorum policy. I have read the Decorum policy through and through. Our council has read the Decorum policy, perhaps through and through and through. The Decorum policy, this town and all of the, I don't know what to say, but in all the handouts, all the stuff that you put out during the election was, we don't want litigation. Well, that policy, I will tell you, will guarantee you litigation. And I can tell you, as of yesterday, Mr. Boardman encouraged and will soon be sued, as will the town, for violation of civil rights. He violated one of your members, one of your townsmen's civil rights. I was here, I saw it, and there's no question about it that he did it. Now, one must ask why, and one must ask, what's the win, what's the loss? One must ask why we need this Decorum policy. It talks about profanity, it talks about cursing. Well, I haven't been to every meeting in that, I'll be the first to admit, but I've been to a lot of them. And I've never heard profanity or cursing one time. So I don't know what the rationale is to provide for that. It provides for, I see you fixed it on the new one, but it provides for only citizens to be bound by it, not non-citizens. It provides for, excuse me, very vague, as Mr. O'Hare was saying, very vague portions. Reflections as to integrity, abusive comments and statements, motives, personality. Frankly, I don't know what any of that means. And frankly, I will tell you that the first time that I see my civil rights violated as a result of your conduct, I won't, or let's just say it this way, you'll have more than one lawsuit. You'll have another one. And make no mistake about that. Now, in an effort to help you, since there are no words that I could look at through this policy where I could say, this is what they want not to be said, and this is what they want that it's okay to be said. You haven't provided that to anyone. So what I did is I took a list with some people in my office, and I'm going to read you that list, and I'm going to ask that you can either stop me or at the end tell me which one of those words you think are in violation, which one of those, or which of those words, could be several of them, are in violation of the policy. So I'm going to do that now. Home, roam, comb, tush, bush, patch, match, snatch, finger, bird, nerd, car, far, star, bizarre, horses, ass, mare, clown, thrasher, smasher, cashier, money, buys, booze, witch, kills, handicapped, town, hall, violation, help, disabled, people, rear, can, toward, board, man, woman, ditch, bitch, itch, stitch, tight, right, night, but don't bite, knish, you wish, what a dish, is it fish? Kitty cat, pussy, beer, kills, bud, double, eagle, murderers, thriller, pillar, tiller, sailors, condominiums, condom, seaman, dock, rock, cock, egret, regret, commission, amateurs, charlatans, secret, mission, omission, transmission, automobile, steering wheel, fire, wire, tire, liquor, lick it, prick it, cut, poke, nonsense, Joan, moan, groan, phone, boat, goat, coat, decorum, policy, dumb, sophomoric, nonsensical, drunk, skunk, dunk, nick, dick, lick, balls, finger, linger, Deborah, linger. Animal, viral, flight, aircraft, fopper, mother, outhouse, first, time, compari, fall, well, Gulfstream, gang of five. Thugs, hoodlums, thieves, criminals. Sweetie pie, sweet nuts, sweet pea, sweet apple. Ganger, gangbanger, gang bang. Creep, devious, duplicitous, suck, duck, intercourse, blue balls, Pittsburgh, can't pill, cat, dog.
Excuse me, Mr. Boyle, your 5 minutes is up.
You are 100% Mayor, and I thank you very much for this opportunity to speak.
Anyone else?
And, excuse me, may I just ask, were there any words in there that did not meet the decorum policy, because that was the purpose of it?
May I ask you to sit down? You're over. Sit down.
Ms. Mayor,
Sit down.
you ordered me to sit down?
I'm asking you to sit down.
I know, and I'm going to sit down. Can you just answer my question? I'd be delighted to sit down.
Mr. Boy, your 5 minutes is over. Sit down.
I understand that.
Mr. Boyle, I think the mayor has made it clear that this is time for comments from citizens, not for a time for the council, the commission to answer questions. I think that's what.
And that's fine, I appreciate that. When would be the time, if you don't mind telling me?
I think I'm gonna take a recess for about 5 minutes. Is that good? Well, you can sit down.
We're in recess, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is the first time I've seen this many people here. I'm glad you all showed up, because for the past year, nobody's here. Nobody pays attention. This is wonderful. Guess those words are okay. Guess those words are okay. Next meeting. You should see all the things. In the area. House too. That's the way I used to listen to this. What's this going
It's probably the sun. I see sometimes they might be black
Well, I shall myself.
All right, Rita,
Oh, darn.
we have a burning landscape question for you.
All right.
So, I'm at odds with some friends of mine because they think that podocarpus doesn't need water.
You're kidding.
And I'm like, I've learned the hard way that that stuff almost needs to be watered every day
Well, at least for a
until it gets established.
Yeah. I have to tell you, I planted, around my backyard. And I put solar hoses on it. And I rested it for about 2 weeks. Don't leave me out.
I have to give Christine
And my sprinklers come on, community sprinklers, so I can't control that. And it comes on 3 times a week for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm handing water like every other day. I can't keep them alive. I don't know my foolish with. They all of a sudden start turning brown and you can't.
Now, and from that on, after that first couple of weeks, I depend on the community watering system 3 times a week, and mine have done well.
But they need, pretty much, they need water every, at least once a week.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's a
yeah.
pine tree, nothing's forbidden in a pine tree. I have people come up to me saying, well, they don't need water.
Let them learn.
Take it from me, they need water.
Now that ones this small are like $34 a piece.
I paid $40 a piece for mine installed, so.
Yeah, with labor.
And they were almost 5 foot high, not quite.
Yeah, they're like 4.5, roughly 5. They're on sale for $29.99. I didn't realize that.
It was a lot.
He just looked.
that wing might expand capacity. I believe she's saying only 2 days a week.
Well, the budget was really stable. I don't know. Right now, we're probably looking at $20,000.
Call the meeting back to order. Is there anybody else from the public that wants to comment? And we will go on to the reports. Utility underground, Danny Brannon, the engineer.
Good morning, Danny Brandon Gillespie, consultants for the town and the underground project. You have a handout in your possession that kind of brings us up to date. Relative to the installation of the underground conduits to accommodate the communications and power systems, we are currently working on Pelican and kind of finishing up that. We anticipate within probably the next week, 2 weeks at the most.
Danny, excuse me, do we have a handout?
I have,
Oh, okay.
I didn't see that, I don't
I'm sorry, I apologize.
right.
Yeah. Don't want all your hard work to go for naught.
Right.
And this is a new one.
Sorry.
So we're moving along quite nicely with the completion of that work. We anticipate next week to start pulling some of the FPL feeder cable, starting at Gulfview and going south to get the backbone feeder system installed, and then we'll start moving with the transformer cabling, those kind of things. So it's moving along quite well. There's a schedule later in the package. Page 3 of the handout is been a communication as to the progress of the installation of the FPL main conduits. And we've been updating that about weekly, at least every 2 weeks as we progress. Page 4 is schedule. We had a meeting with FPL this week, and as a result of the outcome of that meeting, they're currently working on the design. We're looking now on phase 2, running through December of 2015. So we have about 2 or 3 months pushback on the completion date for phase 2.
Push back or push forward?
Push out.
Push forward.
Very
You see this little line?
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Danny, excuse me, but obviously we've had a great deal of difficulty with FPNL for now over 2 years. Do they understand that they're not going to get a second chance here? They've got to deliver. So that when you finish phase 1, bang, you have to rebid for phase 2, as I understand, and you can't rebid until FPNL has done what they have to do.
right.
And that, it took us well over a year for them to catch up for when they were supposed to be doing that.
When we filed the Public Service Commission complaint as a result of the performance on phase 1, they made a commitment, and in the meeting this week, they indicated that they were going to try to beat that commitment. So
Well,
I think they're,
I just recently had a conversation with the Public Service Commission person. I don't know at what level. But is there some way that the Public Service Commission can stay on top of the progress, as opposed to reacting to something they didn't do, is to encourage them to do what they say they will, and so that we're not faced with yet another appeal and whatever time that takes?
Generally speaking, it's for the consumers to appeal for assistance from the PSC, and it would be more for us to stay on top of it. I feel pretty confident that they're going to perform this time.
Well, you know, it's kind of frustrating because I don't know, after speaking to this chap, then I got a questionnaire saying, did he answer all of your questions and were you satisfied? And, you know, so I wrote, maybe. I have no idea what happened. So you know, we're here to help and they're here to help. But if we don't know what we're supposed to do, it's difficult for us to do anything. That's very, honest to God, I feel like I'm speaking into a windmill.
We have pursued issues with them in the past, all successfully, and we've gotten improved performance as a result of it. We usually do that when we exhausted all negotiations with the companies, power company, telephone, whatever. And I feel that they have been supportive when we've gone to them. We ended up going to them probably later than we should have in phase one. They took way too long, but I think that they're on top of it. I know that the telephone company is now calling me about once a week, wanting to know if the conduit for their stuff is done yet, so they can get started.
That's promising.
It is promising, but that's also a competitive thing, because I think they see, you know, they can put the wire in, but if nobody's going to buy it, they're losing share.
It's an indication of interest, and I feel that the interest in working with us and moving forward on this is much better in phase two.
I think it's up to Danny to stay on top of
It
it.
is,
It's not
but still, I think we've got people out here who have been very effective particularly with that power outage problem we had recently. They responded, you know, big time for that. And so I you know, this community wants to help any way it can. They want to see this thing open. They want to see this thing working properly. And they really don't want to hear any more excuses.
And I think that what we really need to do is communicate probably as well as we can with the community so that everybody understands where we are, and if there are issues, what are those issues, and if they feel that coming forward and interacting in it is on their interest, then we'd be certainly glad to talk with them.
Good.
Any more questions?
What's the light pole picture here? Is that the same one we had last time?
Yes, I'm surprised this hasn't been delivered to town hall yet. We got an email from the vendors saying it had been shipped, and then we got an email a week later saying that the engineering people had decided to retrofit the fixture with a more user-friendly light adjustment control, and that they were doing that, and it would be another week or two before it was shipped.
That's a manual light adjustment control?
Yes, basically a rheostat. So that we can adjust the light and see what the difference would be with different levels. We're ordering a fluted pole that's 2 feet shorter than the one that's out there. That's in process also, so we can get the right height, and we have a fixture that we can adjust the heights on. The fixture will come with some variations in the panels. We have glass panels, or they're acrylic or glass panels, in the fixture that's out here now. So I think it's going to come with some frosted and some blank panels in it, so you can see the effect. If you look at this fixture at night, you will see a little bit of a reflection of the light source on the acrylic panel as it comes down and bounces off. It's sort of like a mirror image, which gives you a little bit more of a glare. A lot of these fixtures, they don't have any panels in the sides, so you don't have any glare. From a horizontal view, you would not see the light source or anything. It would just be light on the ground. So that'll be another thing that we'll look at when the fixture gets here, gets installed. You have the budget in here. Basically, we haven't had any major expenses or expenses much at all since the last time. We've got a pay application in now for the first one from the contractor, which is a couple $100,000 that we're going through the process of doing the review and recommendation on. So we will, by the next meeting, have a pretty significant payout to the contractor.
So you vet their bill down to the eighth, I mean, you go through their invoice very carefully before.
Yeah. We developed a scheme which we've used in multiple towns where you develop a schedule of values for the various components of the project, and we develop a map of segments of each of those components. As they complete a segment, as a percent of the total, they get a percent of the schedule of values for that particular segment. So it's pretty detailed, but the intent is that it provides timely payments to the contractor, and it's very clear as to he gets paid for work that's completed. So it's pretty detailed and rigorous management of the payouts. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Danny. Town manager.
Just a couple of comments or announcements. I'm trying to put together a joint meeting with the various elected and appointed officials of the town for an update on the public records procedure. It will be conducted by an attorney and also a law professor that will be here for refreshment and refreshing us as to our responsibilities and potentially to discuss our written procedures as it relates to public records and the fulfillment of that, our responsibility. Secondly, if you have not noticed, I'm sure you have not, we, as we stated last month, have opened on our website an open portal, which means that residents that want to look at certain public records do not have to either call us, write us, walk in, whatever. They are available to them, so that took us a little longer to put into operation, but it is operational. And as time goes on, we will be adding more information to that open portal. It is under the, if you go to our website, it's one of the, click on elements on the right-hand side. It's under I want to. If you want to do certain things. So that which we said we would do as staff, we have completed, and it is operational. It's been purchased, installed, and tested, and it's operational, and we will build upon that as time and money allow. That completes my comments or announcements.
Okay. Architecture review and planning, the meeting dates are here. There's no meeting in August, always. And now we have the finance director. Financial report for March 2014, you all have it in your packet. Are there any questions?
Doesn't have to be adopted, just
Yeah, it's here for if there are any questions. If they're not, we'll go to the water usage is in your packet too. Are there any comments or questions about it? Just a report. Okay, so how about the police chief? Activity for March 2014.
That's submitted.
Okay. Are there any questions, comments? Items for commission action. We have, that's one of the 12 policies, we've done that. Appointment of a member for the ARPB. Because Mr. Morgan has come to the commission, there is an opening on the ARPD. You have 2 letters in your packet. One is, I don't say John Leslie, one's from Kathy O'Neill, and the other one is, they both have their resumes here. It's John Leslie's son. That's sanitary emergency. Stan Rubini.
Normally, I would say, let's move on. We are in the process of updating our design guidelines and appropriate codes if necessary. I'm wondering whether this is the best time to bring somebody new onto the Architecture Review and Planning Board. I also understand that there have been other people who have expressed an interest but didn't make the cut in terms of having them in for this meeting. I don't know whether it's appropriate to defer this decision. Is there with Scott leaving, are we literally not able to conduct the Architecture Review and Planning Board?
It's over his
No,
position
it's,
anyways.
Yeah.
we have 2 alternates.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we're just down, the
Right.
person would take on the alternate position because
Right.
we always take
I
an alternate,
understand
move
that.
them up.
Yep, right.
So, we're not in dire straits.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
I tend to
down-
agree with Bob. There's not an urgency to it, yet there is upcoming, probably significant transition in the code and design manual. And I'm not so sure that right now would be the necessary time to appoint another alternate. I think deferral
Yeah.
would be a reasonable.
I would also urge the people that are interested to attend as public a couple of these meetings, particularly even the ad hoc meeting, to get a sense of what's going on. It's one thing to go in as an alternate and then all of a sudden you're up on the dais and all of a sudden, you haven't had enough background in the process and you feel pretty, it's scary to some people. So, you are the person that all this is you're causing all of this.
I agree with you, Bob, and you were chairman of the ARPD and on for a long time. You're absolutely right. Alternates find themselves on the board rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
With the changes that are upcoming, there's really no urgent need for it.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, if other people have expressed interest in it, I'm not so sure that now is the time to make that decision.
Well,
I don't know if this is something you defer or not, but that would be my suggestion.
Do you all want to defer for a month?
Yes,
That's
would.
reasonable.
I really would. And I also think then if you've had anybody come to you and I've had someone come to me and just say, look, if you're really serious, get your resume in, attend a meeting, make sure you're comfortable that you're able to accomplish what the task requires. A month isn't going to change much. I would like a report or something, however, as to where the ad hoc committee stands in terms of meeting its goals in time. Because of course, we haven't either seen a meeting or had any feedback.
I think their plan is, from what I understand, they have 2 more meetings scheduled and then they're going to report to us.
Okay.
That's what but Mr. Bortman's here, you were asking, correct?
That's correct. We circulated 500 letters and received 10 comments or less. Do we have any?
Mr. Bortman, can you come up to the dais and?
Do you want a brief report or do you want to?
It would be very
Yeah,
helpful.
it'd be great if you would.
Since we were charged with this responsibility, we started off by collecting comments concerning the existing design code and further invited comments as to the processes used in implementing it. We wrote letters to over 500 residents and received, as I said, something less than 10 comments. We took those comments, we took comments which we invited from the staff, and have been working our way through those. We are down to the point now where we have a number of comments that relate to the landscaping portion
of the design manual. And as you know, we're now fully staffed to deal with that. So our objective, and I think it's very attainable, we've added another meeting to the schedule. And so that gives us 2 more meetings, perhaps 3. And we will then have a report which will include the work on the landscaping portion, which will be left with the ARPB and this commission as many of us leave for the summer. So there will be something for you to consider. As you know, our position is not one of making decisions. It's one of raising issues and having opinions on issues. But it's ultimately to you and the ARPB to decide whether or not you want to make changes.
These are public meetings. Has the public attended your meetings in en masse, or just a few people, or how's that work?
Very few people, tend to be the same people. Just for your information, prior to having our first meeting, we asked council to review our position and what obligations we had as far as the public was concerned. And we were advised, of course, that the public could attend the meetings. We were also advised, however, that the public did not have a right to make comments at the meetings. But nevertheless, having been presented with that opinion, the practice we adopted was, and the practice was announced at our meetings, that the public would be given an opportunity to talk, and very similar to the agenda item we had here, but that allowable discussion would only take place as long as it was in a civil, proper manner. So we had no obligation, but we did nevertheless, under those conditions, give the public the right to do that. We did receive public comments. Almost every time there was a few comments on the public period, and we also had some good experts when there was specific items such as generators and things like that, where we had the representatives of the generator companies. So, but not many. There was nothing like this as far as attorney.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the resolution, number 14-2.
This is a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Florida, providing for the appropriations of budget expenditures in the general fund for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2014, and providing an effective date. And be it resolved by the Town Commission, Town of Gulfstream, Florida, that the following reappropriations be made. This would be an increase in legal of $190,000, miscellaneous professional services $10,000, and capital outlay through the town hall of $20,000. And those amounts, those funds will be taken from $200,000 from the unassigned fund balance and $20,000 from the capital outlay in the police department. And this is presented for adoption the 11th day of April, 2014.
Are there any comments?
This is just a comment, but we had set aside some funds for an examination of improvements, if possible, in our fire and EMS delivery capability on a town, on a kind of all of us together looking at it.
A study.
A study.
Yeah, the feasibility
A
study.
feasibility study. And I'm not aware whether our brother and sister towns set some funds aside likewise, but this is one that I personally feel very strongly about. I do believe that we've been saying for 3 years now we were going to do it, and for 3 years we've had unexpected costs that didn't allow us to do it. at some point in time, we gotta decide whether we're really gonna do it or not. And as we all know, our current fire and service provider, a fire and EMS service provider, is considering a fairly substantial, a very huge change in how they could provide the service to us. We don't have a plan B. We could be in trouble. So I think that I want to just make absolutely sure you did not take that away from us in this move. It's still in there.
The answer to your question is yes. I may make additional comments if you would like.
Well, yeah, because I think it's pretty important.
Okay. Typically, a move of a combined study like this of other municipalities is not something that I myself would generate. We've provided funds for it. It has been our history that the mayors of the different municipalities would get together to discuss this. Therefore, I have not engaged myself. So unless that has changed, that kind of semi-directive to mayor to mayor, manager to manager, that protocol, I am just sitting here.
Okay. No, that's the answer I expected, and I guess it's up to us to decide, as long as we decide we would still like the option of proceeding in some way. It doesn't mean we have to spend the money, it's just to examine whether or not this is something we should do.
Yeah, I think we have to rely on the other communities
Yeah,
too, with their
absolutely.
ability to spend the money, and it
Yeah.
hasn't been a big item that people really want to go and put the money, outlay the money
Yeah,
for right
it
now.
hasn't been to date, but
No.
if Highland Beach and we both lose our fire and EMS service,
Yeah,
that's not a good thing.
I know, but I think there's always an option with Boynton Beach. I mean, even if we lose Del Rey, there are other options too. So, I mean, I don't think
Yes, but
that's all we have.
It would appear that Boynton Beach could be reducing their capacity to service the barrier island. They've already made several announcements and then rescinded them, but this is one you just don't sit back and say, well, I'll deal with it when I have to. I really think we have to be more proactive in this area. I feel very strongly about that. But it's just a study. The study may say it's a dumb idea. Don't keep things just the way they are. That's fine. At least you feel better. That you've learned something in the process. Well, the answer to the question is you have not taken it out of the budget, and therefore, if the mayors decide this is something they'd like to do, we're prepared to join with them, at least financially, at this point in time. We haven't made any decision whatsoever, and I'm not suggesting what's the right decision or the wrong decision, but if you don't have the money, I know what the decision has to be. You don't do anything.
Well, we can still do the feasibility study, but we do need other communities to participate. Those can get very costly.
It could be, but the first step of the
They are very
process
costly.
has already been calculated, and
Yeah.
our fair share, we've got money set aside for it, so.
We do.
You need a,
Yeah.
yes.
Motion.
Okay. Any other questions on this, guys? We need a target.
No, but I think it's good that everyone knows about the EMS. It's a big problem that is coming up.
Well, to close the loop, the fear is if you have a circumstance where you can no longer contract with the city like Del Rey or Boynton, and the county merges or takes over all the EMS, much like the sheriff's department has done in certain towns, that the billing factor, which Bill can correct me on if I'm wrong, MTSU rate exponentially raises the town's costs, which can be 2 or 3-fold depending on how it's adjusted or allocated. So that's the overarching fear. It's about money plus providing service too. So, and what are the alternatives?
Yeah, higher cost and less service is not a good combination.
Just clarification, that multiplier would be over 5.
And you're still paying for the county fire and your county taxes on top of what you'd be paying for what you're getting for your own service.
It's not
It's
been,
double dipping.
it is, it's been tested, and we haven't prevailed. So the options if that were to take place, would be to cough up the money to go to the county. We're talking $2.8 million compared to $500,000. $2.8 million is about our entire millage rate.
Yep.
So our millage rate presently would go from 3.7 to 7.4. Whatever taxes you're paying, they would be doubled.
And it's compounded by the fact that in my opinion, Delray Beach gives us excellent fire and EMS service. It's not like we're gonna get better service necessarily, but, you know, if we lose that Delray Beach capability,
Well, what is the likelihood of that occurring? As we're talking about some doomsday scenarios here, but really what is on the horizon?
I don't
that's
think
raising
anybody
this
knows,
fear?
Scott. It was presented to the Delray Beach Commission as an option in October. And this is a matter of public record, it was in the newspapers. It is being explored. They are doing some new actuarial analysis of the unfunded pension liabilities of the police and the fire in Delray Beach. They have to get a handle on it. And I don't see a great surge of desire to make this move. On the other hand, their budget cycle starts very soon. And they're going to have to look at, could they save a lot of money if they turn the service over to the county? And they're, at this point in time, I don't think they even have the data to be able to make that decision. But
It sounds like we need to keep our ear to the
you
track.
you can't just stick your head in the ground on this. This is a very important thing for us to stay on top of.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's all about Delray Beach and their pension plan, basically. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Need a motion on this. Make a motion to approve resolution number 14-02.
In a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Ganger.
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Mayor Wolfline.
Yes. 9C1 is the ADA grant. Bill, you want to, we have the handout.
Now, this would be resolution 14-3. A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Florida, providing for the appropriations of budget expenditures in the general fund for ADA modifications for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2014, and providing an effective date. Be it resolved by the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Florida, the following reappropriations be made. This would be to a $30,000 increase to capital outlay for the walkway, and a decrease in the unassigned fund balance in the same amount of $30,000, presented for adoption this 11th day of April, 2014.
We do have Danny here. I've asked him to give a brief description of the project because you are unaware of it. So he also has provided a report if you would like it to get a better idea as to what is being proposed. Danny?
Danny Brandon Gillespie, consultant for the town. You're being handed a package. The town's been looking at opportunities to improve accessibility, and this particular issue addresses the accessibility from parking to the entrance of the building. We had been asked to look at options in the front and back of the building. The front of the building, the option was pretty extensive in handrails, rebuilding ramps, repouring sidewalks, quite expensive. In the back, the existing space we have for the handicap parking is at such a severe drop in elevations that the cost to access that space is very high. Back and forth, you have limitations on ramp steepness. You have too much steepness in your rear walkway to qualify for an accessible travel ramp. But we looked at the back from the point of view of the parking lot in the back increases in height as it drifts to the east from the walkway. And the second image that you have in your package shows where we could install a walkway that would not require a ramp or handrails or etc. We would turn 3 parking spaces into 2. We would lose 1 parking space, but we would regain a parking space where the current handicap spaces are marked. The sheet 3 in your package gives you kind of more of a graphic look at the various things we do. Adjustments to the asphalt to provide a acceptably level surface for accessibility, relocation of a palm tree, pouring of sidewalk, and doing some modifications. Actually, the plan, I think, will be functionally and aesthetically the best option of all the things we've looked at. And we had general contractor go through, we have more detailed drawings that we did for him to go through and do a detailed budget estimate. And that was the number that was presented to you today.
Does that budget estimate preclude the opportunity to bid the project? Is this just somebody did this for?
It's a budget estimate.
It's a budgetary number, you're gonna put it out to bid.
It will be competitively, yeah.
Is the sidewalk serrated when it starts to, I can't remember the last time we did one, or firstly I did one of these things, and I remember there's all kinds of things that you have to do. You said the slope, what is the slope from the entrance to the proposed sidewalk?
It's less than the code. It's less than the 1 in 20 that the code limits you to. So the slope to the point of the turn is acceptable. At that point, there would be a flat level turning point, and it would turn to the east and then run 90 degrees. The slope going down the hill is something like 1 foot in 30 feet. So it's a acceptable slope for ADA guidelines. Then there would be a flat landing at the bottom, which is technically not a landing, but it's just a flat section of walkway that would mesh with the asphalt. And we would cut the curb down so that it's a smooth transition across the curb onto the excessively striped space.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It'll-
So you're requesting the $30,000, which is hopefully less than the real cost, but not, I mean, these things have a way of taking off.
Hopefully more. Hopefully that is more than the real
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah, that's what I'm sorry.
Yeah, staff has put that in the question.
Yeah, okay, and you will bid it. And I guess the question is the presumption that we're gonna start as soon as we can? I mean,
Yes, that's why we're asking for the money right now.
okay,
Right now.
Yeah, in talking with the staff yesterday about a couple of these resolutions, I think the town manager wanted to add to this, whether it's together or separately, that he be authorized by the commission to get 3 bids, and if it's feasible to proceed with the lowest bid to complete the job within the specs that have been allotted by DNH.
Now, this is purely for the exterior work. This does not include the costs of that are still underway, I gather, in the interior.
It's exterior. The exterior ramp, access ramp. And the motion, as Commissioner Stanley said, Vice Mayor Stanley said, would include authorization to proceed upon receiving 3 qualified bidders.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Roll call?
Commissioner Gainer?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Earthline?
Yes. The next thing is the proposal execute final release of the lien for 2765 Cardinal Circle. You have it here. Are there any questions or comments from Skip about this?
Well, just briefly, you have my memo. We have a sizable lien against this property, which is inferior to the first mortgage lien of the purchaser of the property. When the bank foreclosed on the property, they got the property back, so our lien is inferior. However, having said that, in fact, that would wipe out our lien. Having said that, I've been negotiating with the bank, who offered a much lower figure than this to get rid of the lien, advising us that we really didn't have any lien left, and I would recommend that we do give the release of lien in return for the $8,500 that was ultimately offered in my negotiations with them.
The lien is on property taxes or on?
This is our code enforcement.
Yeah, of the property.
And clearly, code enforcement liens are inferior to first mortgage.
Sure.
I would move then that we execute a final release of lien on 2765 Cardinal Circle for the amounts set forth by council.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Gainer?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Earthline?
Yes. Okay, items by the mayor and commissioners?
I just had one 10-second comment. We received an email with regard to fence heights in Plaza Soleil. I'm assuming that the ad hoc committee will have that email before it is to you, Mr. Thrasher.
Yes, that is correct. That will be correct.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. We have the reorganization of the commission, the election of the mayor. At this time, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for supporting all the commissioners standing at the town hall. For various reasons, it's time for me to pass the torch of mayorship on to another member of the commission. Everyone here is very capable of being the mayor, but there is one person who has shown leadership in helping Gulfstream navigate through some difficult and challenging times ahead. It is my recommendation that we elect Scott Morgan as the mayor of Gulfstream.
Sorry. If that is it's your recommendation, I will make a motion to, for Scott to be the mayor. To elect Scott as the mayor, or use the right word, appoint, whatever we're saying these days. I think he'd be an outstanding mayor. I've worked with Scott off and on for several years. And very high integrity, smart, dedicated, cares a great deal about this town. I think he'd be a fine mayor.
And I'll second that motion wholeheartedly.
But before you get any farther, I think this town owes a debt of serious gratitude. See you, my friend.
Now,
Just a couple of words that mean a lot. Intellect, grace, and dignity. Is that easy? And she's held her head high. She's served us well. And for heaven's sake, you're going to stay on the commission, so you will continue your service. And that will add up to, when you finish this term, how many years? Come on, you got to tell us.
oh, I don't know. I've been here 30 years and doing things for the town
Yeah.
for 29,
So,
so.
I mean, we're not just saying, we're not saying goodbye to a mayor. We're saying thank you for all you've done. But we're also lucky that she's still here. She'll, I know, be a terrific commissioner, and she was a terrific commissioner for however many years that she's not telling. In fact, when this is an anecdote, but when counsel in a deposition or hearing of some kind of magistrate hearing, she was asked how long has she been on the commission, and she couldn't even remember. So that gives you some idea how long it has been. We're very fortunate to have Joan, and we wish her just work a little harder now that you're on the commission.
I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm going to leave that up to Scott. I think he'll make a wonderful mayor, and I give him great credit for helping us and coming on the commission. That took great courage.
Well, thank you. But I would certainly like to second the remarks that Bob made, and perhaps add a few of my own, because I've been thinking about you long and hard as things progressed through the last year, because you're not only a public official, but you're a friend. And I just want everyone to know that you stepped into this job at a time that's very difficult, probably the most challenging period Gulfstream has experienced since its founding, and you worked both publicly and privately to resolve the many issues that we faced, whether it was the underground electric wires or development issues, or more importantly, the onslaught of public records requests and the litigation that followed. And you always tried to do the best you could and with the best interests of the town at heart. But more than that, you did it with grace and with dignity, and you reflected, I think, the character of this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Scott.
Joan, if I may just second, third, what has been so articulately said by both of these gentlemen, and add the official thanks and appreciation of the Civic Association for what you've done in extraordinary times in this post. And the whole community is very thankful for what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, if I may also add, I think it's great that we have a mayor with an hour and 20 minutes of experience. This is going to be a great year. I'm sorry I won't have you as the figurehead to focus my laser beam on, but I'm sure Scott is going to be up to the challenge, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Election of a vice mayor. Who's up for this?
Did you
Did
vote
we
on
vote?
Yes,
we had
we've had a motion with
Yeah,
a second,
second.
and
You need to call the roll.
Oh, I could call my final roll call.
you're right.
Commissioner Ganger,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Mayor LaFleur.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. The election of the vice mayor. Do I get to finish the agenda?
I think, I personally think that the new mayor should have the authority to nominate who he would like to see as the vice mayor. If he doesn't choose to do that, if he wants consensus from the group, that's fine. But I think that in these difficult times, we're a team. We've got to work together. We will all support you as hard as we possibly can. But if you have a preference, I think you should express it. If you don't, that's fine.
Well, I think it's probably a good point. These are difficult times, and frankly, I have worked with Bob for a number of years. We worked well together on ARPD. I think his wealth of knowledge and experience would complement me as well. So I would move that Bob be vice mayor.
I didn't expect that.
You should have kept your mouth shut.
I've never learned.
That's a motion. Is that true?
Second that motion for Mr. Ganger to be vice mayor.
Roll call.
Commissioner Ganger,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanley,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
and Mayor Worthwine?
Yes.
I'm not sure I did this right, but anyway.
That's all right. I wasn't quite sure either. Thank you all. But the attorney now has a few items that he wants to go over.
Never in a meeting with an attorney.
No, you shouldn't. I have two requests of the commission. The first relates to the boat that has been anchored in Polo Cove. And we've done a good deal of research in regard to this, and that Polo Cove property is owned by the town. There is an easement that runs to the exclusive benefit of the abutting property owners for their use and recreation of Polo Cove. It's my opinion, based upon my research, that the boat that is anchored there is illegally anchored. And I would suggest that the town take efforts to have the boat removed, and I would recommend that we do that through a court action of trespass, ejectment, and possibly a permanent and temporary injunctive relief. And I am bringing this to you today to seek your authority to prepare such a lawsuit and to file it on behalf of the town so as to have the boat removed through the legal process.
I think it's the appropriate way to go, and I would wholeheartedly encourage your legal action.
Agreed.
Is that a motion?
Direction?
I just want direction from a majority of you.
I support the direction.
Okay, hearing nothing contrary, I will go forward with that. The second thing is, and I've learned, this has not come directly to me, but I've learned there have been complaints from neighbors relating to parking in the town hall parking lot overnight. And right now, you don't have any regulations or ordinances that would preclude that, so the town has not had any authority to really regulate the parking in town hall overnight. So in the event you wish to regulate that, you would need to have an ordinance to do so, and I'm seeking your direction in that regard, and whether or not you would like my office to prepare an ordinance that would regulate parking both overnight and otherwise. I would contemplate there'd be language relating to employee parking and people who are doing business within town hall, etc. And I could bring an ordinance back to you at your earliest convenience if you wish me to.
Is this a lengthy ordinance or something that could be put together fairly simply?
I think it could be done pretty quickly. I could have something by next week, or if you wanted to have something done that early on.
I think so. I don't know why we wouldn't proceed with it as quickly as we can. So I would encourage you to move forward with it, give that direction to us.
And would you want to call a special meeting?
Yeah, I think so. If you could have it completed next week.
I could shoot to have something by Monday of next week, if it's late in the day, say 4 o'clock meeting or
Is that
something
good
like
for
that.
everybody?
Yeah. Monday at 4?
Yeah, you would have to have a motion to call a special meeting for that purpose at this meeting. So.
Is there a motion to call a special meeting Monday at 4?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
That will be the 14th.
Right.
Commissioner Gager? Commissioner Stanley?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Mayor Worthwine?
Yes.
For the last time?
I know.
You were gonna have, you had enough trouble with, you still called her Mayor Coke.
I know. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Short of anything else on the agenda, I just want to thank everybody. It's a very special town to live in, and the town has shown great resilience, and we will go forward and return to normal someday. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. world is a little bit off. Come on, sit down
I don't want anybody out there.
That chair for me, whatever you want to be, chair.
Are you going to say, well,
Have an extra on the ADA work, an extra. If I just look at it, I'll give it back to
That's my dream.
Sharing your husband for a few little
Yes, that's right. Right there. Almost out to
No.